Most of us don't leave the house anymore without something that makes us feel a little safer. Pepper spray clipped to a keychain, a small alarm buried at the bottom of a purse, maybe even something stronger tucked away, just in case. It's become part of the routine. Phone, wallet, keys, protection. Because deep down, we all understand something we wish we didn't. Danger doesn't always announce itself. It doesn't always look suspicious. It doesn't always wait in dark alleyways. Sometimes, it waits for an unlocked door. Sometimes, it waits for you to fall asleep. And that's where this story begins. With a 19-year-old college student, a quiet apartment near a university campus, a couch in a living room, and a predator already searching for his next victim. This is the story of Brianna Dennison. Before her name became a headline, before her face appeared on missing posters across Reno, Brianna was simply Bri. She was born on March 29, 1988, to Jeff and Bridget Dennison in Reno, Nevada. She grew up in a family that, from the outside, looked steady and close. Her father ran a business. Her mother filled their home with warmth. She had a younger brother, Brighton, who adored her. But when Bray was just 6 years old, her childhood changed forever. In 1994, her father, Jeff, only 34 years old and facing a federal embezzlement investigation, took his own life. It was sudden, traumatic, the kind of loss that fractures a family at its core. Bridget was left to raise Bree and Brighton alone, navigating her own grief while trying to protect her children from the weight of it. The stability they once knew was gone. The future felt uncertain. Yet somehow, Bree didn't grow bitter. She grew stronger. Friends would later say that tragedy never dimmed her light. If anything, it made her more empathetic. She understood pain early in life, and that understanding shaped her. She was outgoing, warm, the kind of person who laughed easily and hugged tightly. She remembered birthdays. She showed up when you needed her. She had a way of making people feel important. Her bond with Brighton was especially strong. She was more than a sister. She was a protector, a guide, someone he looked up to in every way. After Jeff's death, the family relocated to Mendocino, California, Bridget's hometown, hoping for a fresh start, a quieter place, a chance to heal. And for a while, things steadied. Bree attended school, made friends effortlessly, and continued to grow into someone who seemed destined to help others. When she graduated from Reno High School in 2006, she didn't hesitate about her next step. She enrolled at Santa Barbara City College and chose child psychology as her major. It wasn't random. It fit her. She cared deeply about kids, especially those who were struggling. She understood what it meant to feel loss and confusion at a young age. She wanted to be someone who could make that burden lighter for someone else. By early 2008, she was a junior. Her friends believed she had found her path. But Bree wasn't just defined by compassion. She was adventurous. During a year abroad in Rome, she discovered how much she loved seeing the world. That experience opened something inside her. She traveled whenever she could: Hawaii, New York, Mexico, Japan, Egypt, France. She collected moments, stories, experiences. At just 19 years old, she lived fully. Her friends described her as fearless in spirit, not reckless but unafraid to embrace life. A laugh that drew people in, eyes that sparkled with curiosity. Bree's life, though tragically cut short, was already rich with memories she had worked hard to create. And then January 2008 arrived. Winter break. Time to go home to Reno. Reunite with old friends. Relive high school memories. Enjoy the comfort of familiar places. That particular weekend, Martin Luther King Jr. weekend, was packed with student events organized by a company called Summer-Winter Action Tours. The city buzzed with energy, parties, gatherings, music. On January 19th, Bree and her friends went out to celebrate. They attended multiple events, including a large party at the Sands Regency Resort, now known as the J Resort. The night felt normal. Loud music, flashing lights, dancing, laughter. No one could have imagined it would be the last carefree night of her life. Sometime after midnight, Bree and her friend Katie returned to Katie's off-campus apartment on McKay Court, near the University of Nevada. Another friend, Jessica, was already there, talking with a man they didn't know well. Jessica had work early the next morning. She said goodnight and went to her room. Katie and Bree got ready for bed shortly after. And here's a small detail that would later become devastating. Bree decided to sleep on the living room couch instead of taking a bedroom. She arranged her pillow, 2 blankets, her stuffed bear. It was simple, comfortable, familiar. Katie went into her own room and closed the door. The apartment had a glass front door, and it was unlocked. The roommates had made a habit of leaving it that way, just in case someone forgot their keys. They had never had a problem before. But predators don't need history. They need opportunity. Later that night, Bree spoke with her boyfriend, Cameron. They had been together since freshman year of college. The call included a minor argument about her staying out late, but they resolved it before hanging up. There was no anger lingering, no unfinished fight. Sometime after that call, Bree drifted into sleep on that couch. At some point in the early hours of January 20th, someone entered that apartment. The next morning, around 9 a.m., Jessica and Katie woke up. The couch was empty. They assumed Bree had moved into a bedroom. Hours passed. She didn't come out. When they checked the bedrooms, she wasn't there. That's when confusion turned into fear. Back in the living room, they noticed something wrong. One blanket remained on the couch. The other was on the kitchen floor near the back door. Her stuffed bear was gone, and on her pillow, there was a red stain. Inside the apartment, her purse, wallet, and cell phone were untouched. She hadn't left willingly. Panic took over. They called Bree's mother, Bridget. Bridget called 911. Police arrived quickly. There were no signs of forced entry, no broken windows, but the unlocked door changed everything. Forensic investigators examined the pillow carefully. 3 red stains were present. Mascara smudges streaked along one side. At first, they wondered if she had cried into the pillow after her phone call. But then they noticed something chilling. Small indentations in the fabric, marks consistent with bite impressions. The evidence suggested that Bree had been forced face down into the pillow, likely to silence her. Male DNA was recovered from the couch and door handle. Bree's blood was found on the pillow. This was no longer a simple missing persons case. The FBI joined the investigation. As detectives dug deeper, something terrifying surfaced. In the months leading up to Bree's disappearance, several women in Reno had reported violent assaults with similar patterns. Late-night attacks, a white male suspect, the theft of women's underwear as trophies. 9 days after Bree vanished, on January 29, 2008, a woman reported that her friend had been attacked in a University of Nevada parking lot. The suspect drove a blue pickup truck, possibly a 2007 or 2008 Toyota Tacoma. DNA collected from that assault matched the DNA found in Bree's case, the same man. Another survivor came forward. Similar attack, same area, same disturbing pattern of stolen underwear. A composite sketch was created after one victim caught a glimpse of his face. Reno changed overnight. Volunteers searched over 100 square miles. Nevada's First Lady joined the effort. Flyers covered the city. Bridget refused to give up hope. The previous victims had survived. Maybe Bry had too. But time kept moving, and hope began to thin. On February 15th, 2008, nearly a month after she disappeared, Albert Jimenez was returning from lunch near an empty lot when he noticed something unusual. At first, he thought it was a mannequin or a doll wearing bright orange socks. As he got closer, his heart sank. It was a body. It was Brianna. 2 pairs of women's underwear were found beside her remains, one belonging to Bry, the other later identified as Katie's, which meant the killer had moved through the apartment that night, searching, choosing. The autopsy revealed she had suffered severe injuries and was likely killed with bare hands. For Bridget and Brighton, hope shattered, but the investigation continued. For months, detectives worked with limited leads. Then, on November 1st, 2008, nearly a year later, a woman contacted authorities through the Secret Witness program. She had found multiple pairs of women's underwear hidden inside her husband's truck. Her husband was 27-year-old James Michael Biela. He had worked blue-collar jobs, briefly served in the military before being discharged for drug use, held a blue belt in martial arts, had a reputation for a short temper. He was married, he was a father. Police arrested him while he was dropping off his son at Reno Stepping Stones Children's Center. He denied everything, refused to provide DNA. Investigators turned to his wife. She allowed them to test DNA from their son. Results showed that a close relative, almost certainly the father, had left DNA at Bry's abduction scene. Further testing confirmed it. James Biela's DNA matched evidence from Bree and both surviving victims. Even after he had sold his blue pickup truck, investigators tracked it down. Fibers from Bry's clothing were found inside. The evidence was overwhelming. His trial began on May 12, 2010, lasting 15 days. Prosecutors argued that Biela had been prowling Mackay Court that night, looking for a victim. Through the window, he saw Bree sleeping on the couch. The door was unlocked. He entered. He assaulted her, kidnapped her, drove her to a remote location, killed her to eliminate a witness. A former co-worker testified that after Bree's body was discovered, Biela remarked that she had it coming. Those words stunned the courtroom. The defense cited his troubled background, asked for leniency, described him as a model inmate. On May 27, 2010, the jury found him guilty on all counts. On July 30th, he was sentenced to death, along with 4 additional life sentences for the assaults and kidnappings of the other victims. In court, the surviving women faced him. One asked him to look at her while she spoke. He refused, but she stood strong anyway. For herself, for Bree, for every woman who refuses to be silenced. At Bree's memorial, the community wore blue, her favorite color. Flowers, letters, photos. A sea of grief for a 19-year-old who had so much left to give. Bridget had already endured the loss of her husband. Now she carried the unimaginable weight of losing her daughter. Brighton eventually grew up and started a family of his own, but loss like that never fully fades. Brianna Dennison was asleep in a friend's home. She wasn't walking alone at night. She wasn't somewhere reckless. She was resting. And one man decided that was enough. Her story changed Reno. It forced conversations about safety, awareness, and vigilance. It sparked community programs, alert systems, and discussions about how a city protects its young women, especially near university campuses. And more than anything, it left a reminder. Sometimes evil doesn't kick the door down. Sometimes it simply turns the handle. And that's what makes it so terrifying. If this story stayed with you, share it. Remember Bree's name. And continue having conversations that matter. Because awareness might not erase evil, but it can make us stronger against it.